This week on the Music Biz Weekly Podcast, Blasko's out on the road now with Rob Zombie. We sit down and talk about how does his routine change now that he's out on the road? What is he doing differently to run a business while he's on the road?
Welcome to the Music Biz Weekly Podcast, celebrating over 15 years and over 600 weekly episodes, where Michael Brandvold and Blasko, two longtime music industry pros, discuss the very latest trends, tools and tactics that you need to succeed in this new music business.
The Music Biz Weekly Podcast has moved to a brand new YouTube channel. Please hit the subscribe button below so you don't miss future episodes. Visit www.musicbizweeklypodcast.com, subscribe on YouTube, follow and rate us on Spotify, subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. We appreciate your support.
Hey, Music Biz Weekly Podcast. Hold on. I got to restart that. I've got to change my gallery view. There we go. Hey, Music Biz Weekly Podcast. We're back. You got Mike, you got Blasko. Blasko is on the road. He's back out on the road playing bass with Rob Zombie. Tonight, Blasko, you are in Tampa, Florida, you said. Kicked everything off last night in West Palm Beach. Let me throw a question out to you. I love this sort of discussion, and I think it could be very beneficial for a lot of listeners. You're a manager. You've got a real gig on the business side of the music industry, but you're, as we know, a bass player. You're out playing bass with Rob Zombie. You're touring now. When you hit the road like this, what are some of the routines, the workflows, the tips, tricks, tech gadgets that you bring along with you so you can stay just as productive out on the road as you were at home? Because obviously we also know anybody who's toured or been around a touring band, your schedule every day could be completely different every single day of the week. Is it a day off? Where do we have a hotel? Are we in the bus? Are we flying? Walk us through how you, somebody who's done this for many years, picks up from an office setting to a road setting.
Yeah. Well, I've had to adapt to this thing for a while. Fortunately, I work from home, so I'm kind of I'm adapted to the laptop, cell phone way of working. I think fortunately, and that can kind of get up and go pretty easily. But there is one thing to be said about the home office, whereas in the home office, even though it is laptop and cell phone, it's relatively stationary. With the exception of the cell phone travels.
And you're not being interrupted constantly, and you don't have other band members on you and road crew and production crew and all that other stuff. So you can stay in your zone when you're at home.
You can stay in your zone, and you can minimize the relative distractions, right? So being on the road, it's like you got to pack all that stuff up, and I've got a mobile office that I call. So it's like a backpack that has everything in there, all at very easy access. So I got my laptop, my notebook, my cell phone, all the accessories to plug everything in, right? So the only kind of main difference is that thing is coming out and being plugged in and unplugged and put back in its thing. And right. So like setting up and tearing down is a thing that happens a couple of times a day. And because it's like, I can't work on my cell phone. I have to be on the laptop because of needing to dig into Dropbox and having to send attachments and things of that nature. Like there's too much going on to where I can't rely on my phone. Like it's fine, like interim, like we're leaving the hotel and going to the gig, and that's going to take 30 minutes.
And it's good for emergencies, but you can't do your main work on a cell phone.
You cannot work, right? Like you can be aware of incoming traffic and things that are happening, but you can't run a business from a cell phone. Well, I can't. So there's a lot of that. For instance, like yesterday was the first gig, and we got to the venue pretty early, like early in the afternoon. And so I found an empty room that wasn't being used. It's usually used for like a masseuse or something. And but there was no masseuse yesterday because it was the first show and no one's banged up and needs
Yeah,
massages
exactly.
or reflexology or anything yet. So I was able to commandeer that room, and it was great because I had my own space. No one was messing with me. Like there was no cross traffic or anything. So that was beneficial. And so I was able to kind of get a couple of hours of uninterrupted work done. That's another thing too about being on the road is, yes, there is distractions, but for instance, tomorrow I have a day off on a Saturday, and compared to a Saturday at home, like my Saturday in the hotel in Atlanta tomorrow is going to be a breeze in terms of getting work done because I will literally have no distractions, so it will be a very sequestered moment of opportunity to get a bunch of work done on a Saturday whenever the inbox is slow anyway. So I'm going to really relish tomorrow as an opportunity to work. But so, you operate, and I'm 3 hours difference than LA. Not that it really matters because it's like I deal with people on every time zone.
Sure.
But but being in different time zones all the time, juggling that is a real challenge. And but whatever, you figure it out and you get it done. And anyway, so I work for a couple of hours, I get some things done, and then we have to get ready for the gig and do the gig. And then after the gig, I check, that's a good time to use the cell phone, check if anything kind of went by as I was on stage, which generally it never does because we play at nighttime and generally everyone's off of work.
Everybody's
Yeah.
exactly.
So that's kind of the advantage of that. And then we had a short drive. So the from or West Palm Beach to Tampa, I mean, yeah, Tampa is like 3+ hours, an overnight drive, no big deal. But I'm always like, when we get to the hotel, because fortunately we get a hotel every day, and no matter what time we get to the hotel, we can check in. That is a huge advantage for me. So I always tell the tour manager, I'm like, no matter what time we get to the hotel, wake me up. And like this morning, it was like 3, 4 in the morning. And I was like, wake me up, give me my key, and I will be on my way. And, sure enough, I get to the room, 4 in the morning, kind of, wash my face, get ready, but like set up and start working. I took a little nap later on in the day, in the morning, but I get right to work because I have to maximize what available time that I have. And then now after this, I'm going to get ready, and then we'll go to the gig. And then once we get to the gig, I'll replicate yesterday and find a room and set up and kind of grind out as much as possible. And it's a Friday, so it's a bit slow, but it also is, it's a bit chaotic because everyone's like, I need to know before the weekend. I need to know before the weekend. So everyone's kind of grinding for that, those last minute details. So, but yeah, man, like it's tricky, but I've been doing it for so long. I've kind of adapted to a system, and it's definitely keeps you on your toes. And every day is a different day, and it's not an easy thing to do. But like I said, the advantage of it all is that I play at nighttime. Like we don't go on stage till 9:45. So like I'm able to, even if it's sporadic, I'm able to get the work done during the day, and then at nighttime no one needs me because everyone's already off the clock or checked out or whatever. So that's the advantage. The disadvantage though is that like my I have to be woken up at 4 in the morning to be able to go into the hotel and get stuff done and whatever. So like sleep is is also a sporadic thing that happens, not so as you would like, as if
Sure.
you were at home.
Well, let me add, I mean,
Mm.
you're right when you said, first of all, most of us already live in a laptop world, a tablet world. No, I was going to say nobody uses desktops, but I'm sure there's somebody out there that does. But for the most part, it's mobile technology. So that's not shouldn't be an issue for anybody hitting the road, whether it's for 1 month, 6 months, or 1 week. Um, have you found that you need to bring backup gear, meaning, maybe I need to have two power adapters with me because eventually I'm going to lose one, or it's going to get stolen or broken or left in a hotel? Phone charging cables. Do you bring a lot of backup gear with you?
I do actually. So in my mobile office, I have like a small little mobile pack that's like a man purse kind of thing. And like in there, I've got a backup adapter, I've got backup headphones, I got backup glasses, I've got a backup like brick, like a power
Yep.
adapter for the phone. And so that's like my little mobile thing. It's like if I have to be on the run or somewhere, right? Like I take that thing out of my backpack, I throw it on, and I know that I'm good, even though that I'm just rolling with my phone. But yes, so I have the mobile and then the mobile within the mobile, just because I gotta adapt to every situation.
What about so in your case, because you're in very large venues, there's hundreds of people coming and going out of these venues, especially even in the backstage. Is theft an issue? How do you deal? I mean, do you feel confident? Hey, I set up in this extra room, and if you get up and leave, is somebody watching it? Do you pack it up and take it with you? How do you deal with making sure your equipment doesn't just walk away?
That's a fair question, and honestly, I've always felt pretty comfortable because we're the headliner. I feel like we have like our own area that's relatively pretty well policed. Most people that we're with are people that we travel with, and any sort of locals that are there, those are really mostly like loading dock, like
Yep.
kind of people. So there's not a lot of transient traffic going on, like in the important areas. Like for instance, it's like we're all in one dressing room, and whenever we leave that dressing room to go on stage, I shouldn't be saying this out loud, but like all of our stuff is in the dressing room. Like
But
it
but
is.
but I've been on many shows backstage and stuff like that. Often in a case like that, even the venue will provide a security guard just to stand outside that door.
Typically there is that, but can you trust them?
Well,
you know
at the end of the
yeah,
day, exactly. I mean,
yeah.
who can you trust? But the other thing that I wanted to bring up and get your thoughts on is internet connectivity. I mean, on a bus is one thing,
Yep.
buried backstage in some concrete bunker venue is another thing, a hotel's another thing. How do you deal with Wi-Fi connectivity all over the place?
That's a good one. In the US, Wi-Fi is more accessible than ever before. Like even on a plane. Like on a plane, it's way easy. It's not great Wi-Fi, but you can do emails and but like logging, like it used to be a pain in the ass to log on like on a plane. And now it's way easier. Hotels are way easier. Like everything, like Wi-Fi has just become so much more accustomed. You get to a venue and the username and password is on the wall. And so that's always pretty accessible. Europe is a little challenging because there is those concrete bunkers that you talk about. But before the tour started, we had a gig at the Sturgis motorcycle rally. So we were in a hotel at Deadwood, South Dakota was where we were parked at, to get to the gig. And that hotel had no cell phone service.
Oh God.
Because, Deadwood, South Dakota, they had
Exactly.
the Wi-Fi was fine, but my phone, like I go to my phone to make a call and I was like, wait a minute. And like I'm on SOS mode.
SOS mode.
Yeah, so even still, you run into things you have to work around. So anyway, so to call my wife and stuff, I had to call her via FaceTime,
Sure.
because the Wi-Fi was good. So
Well, I think that that's also a good example of anybody who's hitting the road anywhere. You need to have contingencies ready to go. And not to the point where it's like, okay, I need to call right now. Shit, there's no signal. Now what do I do? Before you even leave your house to go out on the road, all right, is my FaceTime set up? Am I logged in? Is that ready to go? Do I have WhatsApp installed? And one of the things I've noticed on iPhones, if you don't use an app for a long period of time, it offloads the app.
mm,
And then if you want to use it, you need an internet connection or
yep,
a cell signal to
yep,
download it.
yep,
So if you're in Deadwood and you want to use WhatsApp and you got no cell phone, you can't. So important apps like that, I guess what I'm saying is before you hit the road, re-download all of them. Make sure they're all freshly installed, all logged into. You know what your
yeah,
username, because there's nothing worse than being stuck out in the boondocks going, I got to do a password reset and it's taking 10 minutes for the password to show up. There's things like that you should plan in advance, but you should have your contingency of, as you said, I can't use the cell phone. I'll use FaceTime here.
yeah. I think also too for the independent musicians watching this and listening, the moral of the story here is that, like, let's be clear about what is happening. I'm on tour playing in front of 10 to 12,000 people in amphitheaters for the next month and a half, and I'm in one of like the biggest rock bands like on earth, and I run a mobile business, meaning that my job is not being on stage with Rob. I have a day job, and then
Yep.
at nighttime I go and I have fun and I rock out, and that's all cool. But the ability of being mobile and having mobile hardware and access to Wi-Fi and all that, and I'm not I'm not all that unique. Granted, not everybody has a management business. There's a lot of people that are in bands of various sizes that are operating mobile businesses. And so I think, and keep in mind that my mobile business is still a rock and roll business. And a lot of people I know do have that as well. So, so I think that's a thing to consider, like moving forward, is the ability to be in a band and simultaneously run a mobile business. And that is what this has afforded us, the ability to be able to run an independent digital mobile business from the road and be able to do that. So if while you're an independent artist kind of starting out and maybe the band isn't paying all the bills right away, to have a business that you can take on the road with you that is going to pay your bills does afford you the luxury of being able to kind of bootstrap your band business. And while that's struggling, you can balance the bills with the business.
Yeah, but let's also keep in mind for a lot of small independent bands, they don't have crews, they don't have management, they don't have record labels.
Yep.
So one guy in the band is sort of the band leader,
Hmm.
and the business they've got to manage on the road is the band. They're
Yep.
the you're fortunate that at the level you are, there's a crew, there's a tour manager who's out there advancing every gig, making sure the hotels are booked, making sure what load in is, making sure all of your Wi-Fi necessities at the venue are taken care of, and you just get a sheet once a day that says, here you go. Here's what you need to know. Here's where you're
That's right.
going. Here's when we're leaving. Here's the login info. Um, if you are a small band, you've got to do that. And you have to do that whether you have solid internet connections and Wi-Fi. I mean, you might have to immediately call that next hotel and go, hey, shit, the van just broke down. We're going to be late checking in. Don't give away our fucking rooms.
Mhm.
How do you do that? You've got to be prepared to do that. So yeah, again, I can't stress enough. I do this in my normal business, and you're the same way. You've got to have a contingency. You've got to always be ready to go to plan B, C, and D. Now, at home, you probably can easily jump to plan B with a blink of an eye. You'll never go down to plan C, D, and E. But on the road, anything that can happen will happen on the road, especially when you're a smaller band responsible for everything on your own. You've got to, how do I contact somebody? How do I stay in touch?
Yeah, man, I was I was touring I was touring in the 80s, but I was a teenager, and I remember we went on tour in like 1988, like after we graduated high school, but we were still living at home. And there was no Wi-Fi, there was
No
no
cell
cell
phones.
phones, right? There was no Airbnbs, there was no Uber Eats, man. There was no luxury.
There were pay phones at a gas station, and there were paper maps.
Yeah. No, yeah, yes. It was like a Thomas guide of how to figure out how to get from point A to point B, right? And it was like this Bible of the road maps that you had to figure out, and you had to go in the back and I'm going here to here. It was like it was wild. And then we had this machine that made the sound of a quarter going into a
Yep.
phone booth so that we didn't have to actually pay for the phone calls. We just hit this little.
Yep.
And then sometimes we had to steal food, and we stayed on people's floors that, we didn't get hotels. We slept on people's floors, and, it was very like pirate mentality. But my point of it is that there was no connectivity to where your parents were like, this is us as like 80s kids, your parents were like, see you later. Hope to see you again. And it's like, man, we
I
could
hope you
have
don't end up in a ditch.
very easily not returned from that, 3 to 4 week excursion across the United States and into Canada. Like we could have.
It is funny you bring that up. I remember out of college back in the mid 80s when I'd go on business trips, and it would be like, oh God, when I'm on the airplane, that's going to be 4 hours of completely uninterrupted time. Oh, when I go back to the hotel room after I'm done at the convention or whatever, I don't have to work. There's no work. Maybe in the rarest of cases, a fax might come into the hotel and front desk will call, you've got a fax down here, or a FedEx package will arrive.
Yep.
But that was so rare because you basically had no connectivity at that time. So it makes me sit back and go, listen, as rough as it can be at times today, this is a freaking breeze, people. It really, there is no excuse for you to be out on the road and not be able to answer emails, work on projects. I mean, we've got cloud storage everywhere. I'm assuming everything you do is cloud-based. Every files are saved on Dropbox or iCloud or something like that. So you don't have to travel with a mini hard drive. Your email is cloud-based. So in a worst case scenario, hey, buddy, can I borrow your laptop and log into my email and see what's going on? There's, in my opinion, nobody's got an excuse for not being able to stay completely connected. Your hours might get wonky. That's understandable. But to not be able to answer emails for days on end, no excuse in this day and age.
Nah. I mean, I relish the days of no connectivity, because now, like, everybody wants you at all times, and they want an immediate response.
Yep.
Right? Like it is chaos. and it doesn't matter what time of day, doesn't matter when it is, but like you're constantly being hit by phone calls, texts, emails, Slacks, whatever, and everyone is everyone is scrambling, everyone is last minute, everyone needs a response right away, and you're like, hey man, like I grew up in a time when everything still got done, and like I was checked out for hours at a time, and the
It
work
was
still got
peaceful.
done. And we still were able to put out records, and we still were able to, build fan bases, and we were still able to go on tour, right? We did all that stuff without the internet. And now shit is just crazy or whatever. But yeah, man, take me back to those days.
Yeah, those are good days in the
Yeah,
past.
yeah.
One last thing I would highly encourage everybody to do is before you go out on the road, make sure you've got active backups of all of your devices completed. And again, I mean, I'm a Mac iOS user for decades here. I'm sure Android and Windows has the same thing. I've got my iPads, my MacBook, my iPhone. It automatically backs up every single night. Once I plug it in to charge it, it's backing up over Wi-Fi. But it's not a surprise. Every once in a while, somebody's like, oh, my device was stolen, all my files were stolen, and I don't have anything. And it's like, back it up, because again, you're on the road. Maybe it won't get stolen, but maybe you drop your laptop walking off the bus, getting out of the van, and it shatters. Somebody spills beer all over it and it's dead. If you've got a backup, okay, you still got to get a new device. But once you've got a new device, you just say restore from my last backup of yesterday, and you're back up and running.
Look, the worst thing that can happen to anyone at any time, especially whilst being on the road, is losing your phone. So I encourage everyone, whatever it is, Android or Apple, whatever it is, wherever you bought your phone, I highly encourage everyone to go to that store and find an employee and just be like, walk me through the process of what happens when I lose my phone, right?
How do I restore?
Like, how do I get a new one? How do I make sure that all the stuff that from my old one uploads onto my new one? How long is that going to take, right? Because it's like, if you're not prepared, like you won't have your phone to answer what you need to do.
And I think you would agree it's going to happen. The more you're out on the road, the odds become greater and greater. It's eventually going to happen. You're going to leave it in a Denny's. It's going to get dropped in a truck stop. It's going to get left behind at a venue. Now, granted, maybe they can find it, but you're going to be without it for a few days while it FedExes to the next location. But it's going to happen.
You have to anticipate that it will happen. That way you're prepared when it does happen. I know exactly what to do, because the things that happen to you infrequently that you're not prepared for is a disaster. So like anticipate that you're going, look, I hope you don't lose it, but anticipate that you're going to, and be very prepared. Write it down, whatever, hide it in a place, like know what's going to happen when you lose that thing, because that thing is the thing, the rest of the world, and how you get everywhere and how you do everything. Yep. So make sure you know what you do when that happens. And look, do the best you can to not, but it's because you're out of your routine and you're putting things in places and you're running
different
around
places.
and you're only here for a minute and then you're gone, and it's just like and you're trying to remember 10 different things at once, and like it happens. I've seen it happen, and like,
well, I think you just nailed an important word: routine. We've all got our daily routines at home, at the office, whatever. I think it's important once you're out on the road, and again, no matter what level, try and create a new routine. If you're in a van, in a bus, whatever, in a hotel room, always put your cell phone in the same location all the time. You're backstage, this is where I'm always going to put it. So it's not different every single night. I know it's tough. Things change, but you can try and create a road routine, basically. So you're going through different steps, because that routine gets burned into your mind. And when you get up, the first thing you do is like, okay, I'm going over here, grabbing it, and I'm gone.
Yep. Man, I got like an OCD routine where I'm constantly asking myself, do you know where your keys are? Do you know where your phone
I'm the
is?
same.
You know
I'm the same way.
Do you know where your wallet is? At all times, are those things on you? Like, do you know where they are if they're not on you? Right? Like, I'm constantly always checking those three things to, and whatever. I encourage
I
you to
think
come up with your own.
that's been grilled into me. Maybe you, because we both are from California. That it's like,
Yeah.
all right, earthquake preparedness, wildfire preparedness. You might not get any alert, and you've just got to basically bug out. And I've got my backpack ready to go. All I got to do is drop my devices in it. It's got extra chargers already in there. It's got extra everything in there. Pick it up and go.
Yep.
Yeah,
man.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, this is good. This is some good insight. And again, I think it's important for anybody from the newest, youngest indie band to the road warriors out there, because you could be on the road for 50 years and you get a little lazy and complacent. Boom, that's where your laptop gets misplaced.
That's right.
Somebody takes it. I mean, yeah, and I can't stress enough: contingency plans, contingency plans, contingency plans. You will need them. You
Agreed.
will be guaranteed to have to use that. You lose your cell phone for 24 hours. Well, guess what? I've still got an iPad. I could still do FaceTime calls over Wi-Fi for 24 hours while I wait for a new cell phone.
Yep.
All right, man. So, homework. Are you a road warrior? What are some of your tips and tricks? What's in your carry bag that goes on and off the van, the bus, in and out of the hotels, backstage? What are some of the interesting gadgets you have with you? I love mini multi-outlet strips with USB ports built right into it. So all I got to do is plug one thing into a wall, and now I can plug 3 USBs into that device, and I can plug a charger in. You're going to learn really quickly to downsize to what's important. So
right.
quick shout out. Thank you to Jeremy, Bruce, Bands in Town, all of you for supporting us. That's it. We'll see you next week. We don't know where Blasko is going to be next week. You're on the road. It's too far in advance, right? You're just worrying about today.
That's right.
All right, man. That's it. We'll see you guys next week.
Every month, thousands of musicians and industry professionals listen to the Music Biz Weekly Podcast. If you have a product or service and would like to reach this audience, get in touch with Michael to discuss sponsorship opportunities.
Voices for the Music Biz Weekly Podcast provided by LarryDavisVoice.com.